keep in the womb.
Mhm.
So we don't know how to deal, happy because the one who is of the womb, or sad because the loss of the second one. So it's a mix of feelings. It's a mist. Your emotions are up and down, be
Roller
grateful.
coaster. Mhm.
And to be in that moment is it's overwhelming. I can tell you.
Yeah, Alfredo, and your, I think, conclusion or the last paragraph, you didn't translate it.
Which
Was
one?
um, is it the evaluation or the project? I think the last paragraph, I think, is in Spanish or something.
Oh, you know what?
I don't
Hold
know.
on,
Check. I hope I'm correct.
hold on, because you know what was the problem? The problem is I always do in Spanish and English the same thing.
I
So I
understand.
send you the wrong one. I'm gonna send right now the
But
right
are
one.
you? Is it? Did you notice it? Check.
Yes,
Check first.
the
Not
last
just
part of the
good.
project. Right?
I
Yeah,
think
I have
so.
the right one in front of me.
But check the one you sent first. Let it not be as if I'm
Okay,
misleading.
let me check. You say the project, right?
Can't tell, but it's the last paragraph of.
Yes, let me see.
Good morning.
Good morning, Donna. Reverend Donna, good morning.
Good morning. Victor, how are you feeling today?
Anxious. Good morning.
Okay. While we're waiting for Lisa and Alice to join us, um, good morning, Alfredo.
Good morning.
How are you feeling?
I kind of overwhelming because I have my dad in the hospital.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Victor, you're right. I'm gonna translate right now and I'm gonna send you again. I'm sorry, I'm gonna disconnect for a few minutes because I have to
Okay.
forget
Thank you.
the last part of I forgot to translate that part.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead, Victor, and share your screen. Good morning, Lisa. Alfredo needs to step away for a second and then he's going to come back.
Okay, good morning.
And I'm going to encourage us to go ahead and start on time because we know Alice may have some connection issues. So Victor, take it away.
You're on mute, Victor.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So this is my final evaluation. And I chose my symbol and I also have used it in self-evaluation and also from CPE general evaluation. So the labyrinth for me is a huge space with winding like a maze. The many applications that CPE has provided me. This, I believe, has certainly been accompanied by growth in my professionalism and in my career. Within this unit, I've also to interrogate deeply the core elements of CPE to base my caregiving on the theories and principles that this unit exposes me to. So I had the opportunity of working with my educator, who is very sound in espousing through didactics these theories and IS and weekly didactics. She has consistently brought to the fore some of these issues. And I've had opportunity of deep conversation with my cohorts who have equally provided feedback, suggestions, and insight that have helped me experience growth in my personal, in my spirituality, and in my caregiving. So at the beginning, I had set out some of the goals and learning for this unit. And the three of them, professional development, emphasizing teamwork and collaboration. That has also led to my evolving. And within the concept of teamwork and collaboration, I equally second unit two projects, so that because I have continued to see myself as a chaplain, work within a team of medics, and also functioning amongst carers and their families. So it's a whole unit. So, and the third goal on to use clinical methods and learning, to demonstrate my ability to use clinical methods of learning collaboratively. So I presented all that within my project. So some of the outcomes, I evaluate myself very high, not just because of where, I ought to be, but judging from where this project to CPE with little or no skills, what the program is. I look at myself right now and I really myself as meeting some of the expected goals and far exceeding them. And category A, my comment is that some major growth I can in my class interaction with my cohorts. I'm now able to accommodate others and make room for shared roles. In my clinic, I'm also conscious of the equilibrium that should exist just as it in a typical family. By being vulnerable, open, I am now aware that my values, spiritual formation, and narrative history help me to build bonds and to cooperate with others. As I continue to warm up with this group, where I consider is my safe space, I notice openness and a willingness on my part to be more vulnerable by the day. I was able to share more, get valuable feedbacks from my group. So within the interactions with my educator and the teachings, I can now say that I've been able to experience not just marginal growth, marked growth in this category. B, my comment is that in my verbatim, I've expressed this within the shared IS classes and the learning moments. I've come to value the routine of self-care practices that have helped me to locate my own inner self, the awareness of the space within which I operate, the feeling of not just my presence, but the needs of others, which, like I said earlier, I've integrated within my level 2 project, because it takes self-awareness to understand the need for self-care practices and impress others to equally, apply it for their own well-being. Then category C is also a very positive rating, only that in demonstrating one's ability to facilitate group process and create one's context. I just barely met expectation. Then in category D, spiritual care interventions and outcomes, I was able to develop spiritual care relations, interfaith practices, having defined, where the process will lead us is interaction with people of other cultures, other faith, and even people of no faith at all, to locate their spirituality. Have now been readily equipped with the spiritual sources available, give spiritual care to recipients and all those within the organization where I find myself. Competencies, I have imbibed inclusivity I've come to get more the dignity and respect, and also the cultural sensitivity with it as a seasoned chaplain. These are some of the things this learning has afforded me. And you can see that in outcome number 5 of category E, I rated myself, low. I needed improvement on that. That is research-based care, because these are areas that are very new to me. I've discovered the treasures that research can give one. The CPE portal where I can browse on the some also many research-based knowledge, which I have not so far made them of. But gradually, having discovered it, I hope to do more in that area, read up more, research more, and also use my theoretical knowledge while balancing it with experiences I gain from my clinical site and within the with patients and their families. So, having reflected on my growth and the progress I've made with the goals, these are my assessment, my group. Eli, I said, is very diligent and hardworking, meets targets, and has them as a high, is her, the hallmark of her personality. She's full of losing sleep in order to see things work right. She's always the assignments and her take homes. These two are some of the drive she brings to the party. Accept valuable responses and criticism. She's also ready to speak frankly if need be, to express her opinion. I find her deeply caring, able to relate with others in a collaborative bid to solve problems. Growing age, she should consider taking spiritual care more seriously, because the world's problems cannot be solved in one fell swoop. Hey, Alfredo, I'm very glad he's taking time to get some rest. This man is so strong, empathic, and passionate about souls. He's willing to stop at nothing to give help to others. I've watched him explode like many constellations of colorful stars that brighten up the dark night. His wisdom and knowledge of scriptures is enviable. He has always had recourse to them in serving out sumptuous dishes that fill the spiritual gods at every point in time. If only the group was versed in Spanish, would have understood the best we miss in this soul-winning disciple. Growing age should continue to remain unfazed about language barriers and use his best attributes to deliver on the care needs of all and sundry. AL, she's naturally the lady of the letters, erudite, intellectual. Her presentations are they can pass her semi-dissertations. It shows her drive, analytical acumen. She embellishes conversations with ideas that elicit further insight. She's one huge asset we appreciate and cherish. We're glad to have her. Brain Edge to be worth the while to encourage her all the more to accept breaking down the learning goals and categories in staggered formations so that we can, they can sink in gradually. Our educator is a consummate educator. She comes readily made for the task. Her didactics are top-notch, is fast as a laser, and can explain theories in a flash. At times, I marvel at how she multitasks and yet is so good at what she is called for. We're glad to have her as a very veritable source and wellspring of knowledge, growing age. I would perhaps implore her that she continues to be patient with slow learners like me. The group as a whole, my cohort is meant to be the envy of all others. It is our safe space. I mentioned it earlier. We have steadily bonded by the minute. It did not take much time to go this far, and that good. I'm optimistic that with the mutual respect, acceptance and tolerance we enjoy, the group will peak as expected. It has blossomed to the desired heights and has brought out the best in each of us. I encourage all of us to keep the growth we learned and be part of and continue to be more open and carry on the freedom all of us have learned within this peer group. My level 2 project. The title.
Victor, excuse me, as you're ready to go into the level 2 project, would you make the screen just a little bit larger, please?
Is it okay?
One more.
Is it okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Should I go on?
Yes, if you want to go on to the project, you can, or if you want to stop here and receive feedback on the final evaluation part that you just did, it's up to you. If you want, how you want to provide it.
Let me go on since I will have the copies. So my level 2 project is titled The Distressed Medic, Spiritual Care as Self-Care in Clinical Settings in my St. Agnes Medical Center. The approach, that's the St. Agnes Medical Center approach. Why I chose this project, the project is of course influenced by my chaplain experience, my internship within the facility. It is a large facility and it also has a huge workforce. So within this facility, the management is not unaware. They put in place lots of facilities and amenities to aid self-care. The parking space is very massive. They have recreational facilities. There's a playground, an internet cafe, and coffee shops. There's a library. There's a chapel. There's a playground, and also there's also the sacred space, the Emily's sacred space. Sorry, I wrote Anne here. Emily's sacred space. So these are concepts that the management put in place. But the question is, how much of it do staff and personnel avail themselves of some of these, structures? I noticed that the workforce needs spiritual and emotional care too, while they render support to care recipients in their medical and other, areas, even administrative. So, due to pressure of duty, they now and again experience burnout. Some are faced with existential challenges like struggles in their social engagement, family life, relationship turbulence, difficult financial decisions, etc. These may as rightly observed, adversely affect their performance and general output. Since we require a healthy mind in a healthy body, mens sana in corpore sano, as the Latins say, a healthy mind in a healthy body, we thought of escalating what is on ground and also creating further awareness. Not that they don't know, they are aware. Even the medics have, self-care as an application in their secular courses, in their medical courses, just like we also have it as part of spiritual care. So, but therefore, I needed to highlight the need for self-care as part of spiritual care. Two sides of one coin. The chaplain needed to lead from the front. I thus decided to escalate further, intensify the effort, and extend the services already in place by the hospital management through spiritual care center targeted at the personnel and their spiritual care needs. The time frame for this project is within the immediate, the midterm, and the long term. In all, I encapsulated it as a 4-month plan. But the immediate measure is, which is already in place, which I began on the 1st of August. Using some of the instruments that are available, like the colleague care rounding, which means as we visited the patients in their rooms at the various floors, we also have the provision for colleague care. So this entails, among other things, engaging colleagues in intentional, real-time human connection that delivers active listening and empathy on a daily basis. So we focused on tracking the efficiency and impact of this spiritual care tool as it affects the personnel. On the midterm, the quarterly spiritual care week is another avenue to showcase the role of a chaplain in addressing the spiritual and emotional needs of the clinic community. In this phase, we have the volunteer week, which is a week program that many pro bono volunteers come on a pro bono basis and offer patients, their personnel, and their families assistance to address their spiritual care needs. There's also the Nurses Week, which is primed towards the welfare of the staff and more or less amplifies the outreach to medics to also offer spiritual care support. Then the long-term plan, this is targeted, and this is a targeted annual event that comes yearly, the Hospital Week and the Spiritual Care Week. These are characterized by events that prioritize the body, mind, and spirit. They support staff and volunteers and the welfare of patients. The events celebrate and champion the core values of a hospital. It is also at such platforms that we intend to showcase further, to escalate further, to bring to the fore and flaunt the consistent but silent activities of spiritual care that the chaplain provides. So the project is hinged on the theological basis of compassion as expressed by Christ in the Bible. When faced with the enthusiastic crowd who sought healing in Mark 6:31, our Lord said, "Come away by yourselves to a lonely place and rest a while." He recommended self-care to those who serve. He also did not abandon his flock. To those desperately in need, he showed love because, like he said, They are like sheep without a shepherd. Mark 6:34. At times, caregivers can be hard pressed, and they too can be so busy that they have no leisure even to eat. At such times, Jesus calls to us, come away and rest a while. We have to initiate measures to support healthcare practitioners to help them receive self-care practices, optimize them, and prioritize them within their lives. So some of the progress within the project. One, the project highlighted spiritual care as a key component and as an accompaniment of self-care. It applies measurable impact assessment instruments that determine the prevalence or otherwise of self-care responsiveness in medics. The application is focused on interviews and in-depth conversations with individual medics that yielded valuable responses. The intervention so far within the project satisfies the goals of prioritizing self-care as a spiritual care tool through the following: intensive daily colleague care rounding, conducting weekly rounding for well-being at nurses' stations in each floor of the hospital, daily overhead speaker announcements of spiritual care center information, and distributing institutional materials. The responses, the project yielded these responses. Personnel appreciated the sensitization, the awareness, and the escalation of staff spiritual care and self-care plan. There is a noticeable increment in the trust quotient of personnel and in their trust level towards the many interventions by management for general staff well-being. There is a noticeable use and influx of staff towards some of the facilities serving self-care needs within the hospital. The downside is that findings indicate an increase of stress-related issues due to lack of self-care, and this has impacted on care responses and general service delivery. And also, we noticed improper application of self-care that has led to turnoff, to burnout, and a deactivated work environment that, if not assuaged, might spiral into exiting of a profession by some who may be heavily impacted. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. I like your level 2 project. That's much needed with the professionals because they do have a lot of burnout with the job and the stress of people coming in sick constantly, and overwhelmed with trying to heal. And when some areas they can't do anything, some people do die and pass away and stuff. So that's a lot of stress. And I'm glad that you were able to implement that. Now, I pray that you just be able to continue to implement that and help them have some relief because you did say it was an influx of people coming in for care. So that's good, that they're taking advantage of what you're offering. And also, you said that you graded yourself high, which you should have because you know what you're doing, you're on unit 3 and you should have a high evaluation because you've learned a lot over the last 3 units, to be where you're at, and getting ready to enter unit 4, you know, and I just pray that you're successful and can continue on and get certified and do what you need to do for the people, because you are a great chaplain, and it's going to be much needed for you to be there and have a compassionate heart and compassionate ear for the people. And I think you are perfect for the job where you're at. So continue to do that great work. And thank you for my evaluation. As always, I appreciate it. Your kind words, more than I deserve, I'm sure, but and I appreciate it. Thank you, Victor.
I think I concur so in so many ways. Is my speaker okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. If it goes in and out, it's because I'm in Africa. Okay. I really appreciate and I concur very much with what Lisa has said. I think you should not, in any case, even in research base, I will not see you evaluating yourself as a two. I don't think so. I think it's being unfair to yourself, because I do think you're very competent in integrating research. Even if you don't do it that much, I think you have competence by default, right? And you are very poetic, right? We have different ways of integrating research. Poetry is part of it. So I will say that if I were the one, I would say you should up it, the two. But that is left to you. It is your assessment of yourself. But I think it's unfair assessment. And I really, again, in line with what Lisa is saying, I have appreciated you, this unit, my fellow neighbor, I would say, even though you stole our oil. But I've really appreciated having you in this unit. Yeah, and as you assess our team, I really love our team. I really like what you really bring as a priest. That is a contextual variable that was very important for us. So I love what you have brought, and I think the way you assessing how you accomplish your goals, and also the indicators and in categories. I think you did a fantastic job there. And also thank you for I think you it's overboard assessment of me, but I really appreciate it. And I guarantee you I'm going to have 3 goals next unit. No more than 3 goals. This time I'm going to have 3 goals next unit. So I would take that very, very to heart. And I like how you assess our team. I concur, that it was a good team. It's really, yeah. We're going to miss Lisa. We're going to miss, I'm still with Alfredo next unit. And we're going to miss you, Victor, for moving away. Maybe you are too bored with us that you need another team, right? We're going to miss you being there, but again, I see you'll be a fantastic, fantastic chaplain. Especially, I will add this, if you are going back to Africa, that is one of the areas we are so limited in. That is trained chaplains. That is, you come from there, that is really our weakest link, to have trained chaplain. We have pastors doing chaplaincy, and some of the time they are not trained as clinical pastoral educators or in formation in that area. So wherever you do chaplaincy, I know you'll be a gift to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Victor. I can see that you are growing in confidence a lot, brother. Your confidence are growing, and I'm so happy for that, because you get in confidence without losing your humble heart. And to get that balance is not easy. Keep that in mind. It's not easy. And you are getting there, you know. Now you evaluate yourself as you have to, period. You know, and you have a long project, brother. So many months, you know. But you did a great job as a chaplain. And I'm happy to be next to you, to be besides you, next to you for these three units. Finally, I'm gonna say something to Reverend Joseph because it's not fair what he's done with us, you know. We have to let us finish the 4 unit together. I don't know what he's thinking. I'm gonna say something, Marie. I'm sorry. It's not fair, you know. But it's the way it goes, the life, you know. It's not the end of our friendship. I hope so. I hope. You know, you have my email, everything. But I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. So keep doing the good job. Keep doing what you are doing. And thanks for everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Alfredo. I appreciate.
Victor, is there any particular area that you want to hear some feedback regarding, whether it's the evaluation or the project?
Yeah, you know, like I mentioned, this is our safe space, and I've gotten the frankest of assessments, you know, and through well-considered opinions, I've always received insights from this group because there are no pushovers here, no. Each and every one of us comes with enormous experience, enormous knowledge, wisdom, of course. And, you know, Donna has taught me to call it differentiation. So, and all that. So, I think anything they bring along, I'm open, and I can correct, I can add, I can improve on what I've already done. Of course, it's not perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for taking time to give feedback to each of us, and thank you for the feedback that you gave to me. I appreciate the affirmation and the area of growth, so thank you. I think in all of your evaluating, that one thing that would just add to your already growing confidence in your skills is to include specific examples. So, for example, if you took anything where you said you exceed expectations, like outcome 3 2A4, which is one you're very familiar with, your spiritual values based orienting systems, to be able to give a specific example where you're demonstrating how your orienting system interact with the spiritual care receiver. Are you able to do that right now?
Yeah. Sometimes when I make a visit, you know, we as chaplains don't make a visit in the vacuum. No, we come with a certain presence, and the presence, you know, encapsulates all our lived experiences. So, like I shared in my verbatim, when a mother, a widowed single mother, was lamenting her woes, I immediately could connect. My mother was raised, my mother was only 7 years in marriage. She was long widowed, and she trained I and my siblings all through all through school to the university level, and she gave her all. So I walked into a room, and this woman was, the daughters will not visit, and she cried out her heart. Immediately she started crying, wailing. I was bleeding from within, so I could connect immediately with what she was passing through. So that was and it held me, even though I was shell shocked. I couldn't look at what was happening within me for split seconds, and I gathered myself and I was able to, thank God, move on with giving her empathic responses and also some spiritual and emotional support. But for my narrative history, I could immediately connect. So these are some of the instances.
So the way it impacted your care for her was, how did it impact your care?
Yeah, like I said, it triggered empathic responses from me.
Okay,
And
so it allowed you to have a greater empathic response. Okay, so that's a good example for all of these indicators, especially where you say, I exceed expectations. A specific example would really strengthen your evaluation. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I am very curious about your assessment tool. And I would invite us to take a look at the questions and have some clarity and conversation with you around these questions, since this is an ongoing project. I'm appreciating that you're going to continue doing it, which is pretty powerful. So, and I want to be clear, the interventions you are surveying are things that already exist in the hospital.
yeah.
Okay. Did you create any new intervention, or is the survey itself your intervention?
Yeah, the survey served as a very novel one, even though, like I said, we have what do you call it, colleague care responses, and we also have kind of survey from that. Are you seeing what I'm sharing?
Yes. How many surveys have you done already?
Yeah, so, and I try to, because it is the immediate, I try to make it as simple and so that you know, so that nobody can say, oh, I would have not even heard of spiritual care. Some questions like, do you refer patients to the chaplain? Are you aware that we have a chapel in this facility? Things like that. Where can you locate, the sacred space? And you could just see that various responses. Some people don't like, I don't know if any of us has within the hospital clinical facility experienced some medics who think you're even wasting time. You'll be there as a chaplain and the doctor walks in and wants to begin administering medication. I don't know if anybody has experienced it. So some people seem to gloss over what we are doing, what we bring along as chaplains. And they want to also make light of the spiritual care provisions. So within this assessment tool, I try to, evaluate their awareness, their level of awareness of what chaplains do, where the facilities lie, and also to know if they will readily use the chaplain rather than perhaps attend a psychologist, get a psychologist to evaluate them rather than come to a chaplain for spiritual support, things like that.
I think it is pretty strategic to ask question C, how often do you refer a patient to a chaplain? And then follow it with how often you use the word approach. How would you approach a chaplain? I think that's pretty strategic to bring to their mind how often they may refer a patient and do they ever consider themselves reaching out. So I think it's strategic that those two questions are right next to each other on your form. How many surveys have you done?
Yeah, like I said, I split this project in I'm still dealing with the immediate. So the midterm and the long term, which will come within these events, the
So you
nurses,
haven't done any surveys yet.
yes.
Okay,
Within
so to the group, I'm inviting you to read the questions carefully to give Victor feedback, read the form and give him feedback since he hasn't done the intervention yet, because he would benefit from some feedback before he actually does this part of the project. Do you need the questions in front of you, or are you able to just recall from having read it already?
Yeah, I think I sent, we'll have it, I think so.
Do you mind putting it back up?
Okay. Is it there?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe maybe take out the ABC, that right there, maybe take out that, and you don't necessarily need the Roman numerals either. And it might make it look clearer and more appealing.
Okay.
And I don't know, the blue box, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody else has some feedback on that, but just, you have the bold with
No,
the top, huh? What'd you say,
my
Victor?
computing is at the elementary level.
Oh,
I said
no,
my
no,
computing is at the elementary level.
no, you're fine.
So,
The bold is good because then they can just, look at what's underneath, but just I would take out the ABC and the Roman numerals.
okay.
That's just my suggestion.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
If your audience is going to be more than medical staff, or is you're going to focus on just medical staff?
Yeah, in the interim, I'm doing the medical staff because I'm using the nurses station. But
Okay.
within the midterm and the long term, it will impress everyone.
Be mindful that not everyone in the hospital engages in direct interactions with patients or refers patients. So when you do, you might want to tweak the idea of refer a patient to a chaplain. I'm just curious for you, what is the significance of someone knowing where the spiritual care center is located?
Yeah, I wanted to know, I mentioned it a little bit. Some people are totally ignorant of who we are and what we do. So they're like, what's that? What are you talking about? So if they can locate at least where we are, they can refer people there and say, oh, you want to go to spiritual care, it's second floor, it's by the right, you know, rather than feel that we are not there, that they have come to just give medication and do they are the real people and not these people. So I think that's the entire, if they realize that we are there and know what we do, then the better
So
for everybody.
if I know where your office is located, your assumption is at least I know where you are. But I would encourage you to consider, I don't know where most of the doctors' offices are, but I do consider them to be in the hospital. So be mindful that knowing where that center is, which by the way, if they went to it, most of the time nobody would be there, might not be really getting at what you want. And so I just encourage you to think about, hey, how do I figure out, do they even know we're here? Um, Great. You all do have a beautiful sacred place and a beautiful chapel and beautiful prayer grounds. And I think that might tell you more than what they know. Because you, as you pointed out, it is so beautiful. You do ask them to please thick your answer in the box provided.
Yeah.
Do you mean thick? Do you want another word? Or is that help translate thick your answer in the box provided?
That is Mark. Mark.
Oh, so I would encourage you for those of us who don't know thick to potentially just say mark or circle.
Okay.
Because we're not all as internationally uh, adept at language. I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't sure. Any other feedback for Victor or
Some aspect of
creative?
In the spaces where you just ask yes, no. In the answers, your answers are yes, no. Most of the time in these feedbacks is helpful to have like very likely, very unlikely, and if they say very likely, follow. There's a third box. If yes, if very likely, say more. Rather than yes or no. Yes or no just is yes or no. It's not right. So it's somebody might say very likely or very unlikely, and then follow up why, or and give you more reasons for that. And it might also help rather than what question? Let me get your thing back up in my email.
Is it my network or yours? Yeah, I understand.
No, I was trying to pull your thing, but your
Yeah.
I want to do what question was that? In the let's see, which one was that? I don't know, but the formulations in general, I think they are good. But if you want to push it a little bit, rather than ask someone, if you ask me, what is your idea of self-care? That is very like two questions centered. Is you could make it better or say it better. Is like Like, what practice do you personally do for self-care, or what do you do for self-care? In that way, you are not just asking that person if they know what self-care is, right? You are just you are just affirming them that they know, but you are trying to say, what practice do you do for self-care? Because your follow-up questions are all, you bring in the chaplain there, right? So it is assuming that the self-care practice might be to see a chaplain, right? So again, that's me. I don't know what you think about that. But you could be right. So I of self-care, the assumption that some people don't know. If that is what you are saying, then it's fine. But if the idea is to find out what they do for self-care, what they might likely do for self-care, then it could be formulated differently. That all depends on what is your goal. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Alice. And through the individual interviews, some of these insights come. And the tool, yeah, is that simple and simplified, but through the interviews, key informant interviews,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
we now deal with some of the details you mentioned. Thank you.
And someone might not know the floor where the chaplain is, but they might know where that is, right? If I'm not the person with numbers, I will not know the floor, right? So if you ask me the floor, then you've lost me there because I have to floor, this floor, this floor. But if you know where the location of spiritual care center is, they might know it. But when you say the floor, they'll say, and then your answers are yes or no. Say no, you've already closed that question there. Whereas they might actually know where spiritual care center is located without knowing the floor. So it would be helpful not to close that option already by a yes or no answer, which in essence, they are answering, I do not know the floor. And that closes it. But I think that's not what you are asking. You are asking if they know where the spiritual care center is, right?
So Victor, you have the last couple of minutes here. How are you feeling? What's going on with you right now?
I think he's frozen.
I think he is. Alice, you went in and out for a minute, but you came back in strong.
Oh, I went out. Oh, okay.
Just
Sorry about
in and
that.
out very quickly, but then you came in very strong. Victor, are you back?
Oh,
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. So in the closing minute, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about your engagement of the project? Just how are you feeling about your final evaluation?
Beautiful. I love the and the feedbacks.
All right, let's take a 10-minute break here. Thank you, Victor. And who will be next? Alfredo. That hand went up quickly. Did you want to tell us anything, Alfredo, before we go? Or you just, when you get back, you'll explain?
When I get back.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you, Victor. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Sorry, Donna. Can I step out? I have a flight to catch, please. And I want to
Bye,
apologize.
Victor. Take care, Victor. Be safe.
God
Care.
bless.
Safe travels.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can take screen share whenever you like.
Okay. You wanted to read everything, right?
However you'd like to present it is fine with me.
Okay. Okay. This is the symbol that represent my CP journey for this unit. I use 2 Corinthians 8:2-3. And this is my imagine, this is a boat. My experience as a chaplain in spiritual care in this third unit at CPE is like a boat sailing in the middle of the sea. The water represents human emotions, sometimes calm as a serene sunrise, others time stirred like storms, unleashed by pain, loss, fear, or hopelessness. Each person carries with them a deep and ever-changing emotional ocean. The chaplain, like a small boat, doesn't have the power to calm the sea, but can remain afloat, present, steady, and available. At CPE, I've learned that my mission isn't to control the waves, but to accompany the care recipient in the midst of them, listening, holding space, and offering presence and hope. On this journey at CPE as a chaplain, I have also learned to anchor my own beings in something deeper, faith, compassion, and the call to serve, trusting that even in the most turbulent waters, we are not alone, and that our quiet presence can be a beacon and comfort in the vastness of human suffering. That is my symbol. My learning goals in CP unit I learn, but its score to success of spiritual care depends on the caregiver ability to be empathic, self-aware, and culture sensitive, fostering a connection with the care recipient that transcends individuals' difference in beliefs, values, and experience, and honors their unique spiritual journey, understanding that effective and sensitive spiritual care requires supporting patients' well-being, promoting their autonomy, and ensuring their spiritual needs are met in a respectful and compassionate manner. It is essential to support patients' well-being, promote their autonomy, and ensure their spiritual needs are met in a respectful and compassionate manner. By addressing existing barriers, fostering interdisciplinary collaboration, and prioritizing education and training, healthcare systems and create a culture that values and integrates spiritual care, thereby improving the quality of care of all patients. Essentially, a caregiver's spiritual system can enhance their ability to provide spiritual care when they approach with self-awareness, empathy, and a firm commitment to respect the autonomy and individual's beliefs of the care recipients. My CP educators and peers give me feedbacks on my values-based spiritual counseling systems and my own words and during the IPE. My second goal, in this CP unit, I learned how to create an environment that foster healing and resilience. And it is essential to address individual needs, build strong bonds, and integrate spiritual elements into practice. This approach recognizes the interconnection of mind, body, and spirit, acknowledged that healing is a personal and multidimensional process. I've come to understand that trauma can significantly affect people in multiple dimensions, physical, and emotional. In essential, understanding that trauma has the power to describe a person overwhelmed, recognizing the multifaceted impact of trauma is crucial for both care recipients and caregivers. When I consider my care recipients, my CP educators and peers give me feedback on my spiritual value-based counseling system in my own words and on my PE. my third one, in this unit, I learned to have the ability to be interested in and understand each person's unique spiritual experience, values, beliefs, and practice. While respecting their difference, this involves several key actions and attitudes, including but not limited to active listening, being fully present, and focus on their spirituality. By adopting these principles and practice, people can demonstrate the genuine communication and caring for and understanding the unique spiritual experiences of others, while respecting the beautiful diversity of beliefs and practice that enrich our world. This is my categories, my comments, and the category 8. In this unit, I learned to integrate knowledge from the behavioral science to recognize how my personal narrative history shaped my value and beliefs about the spiritual care, increasing self-awareness so I can listen without imposing my framework and remain fully present in the patient's own meaning-making process. I can now clearly articulate how my social identity shapes my approach to spiritual care, and I adapt my practice to honor the patient's unique context. I can demonstrate awareness of how my social identity interacts with the care receivers. Identify shaping or spiritual care encounter during a visit with a patient whose counseling system emphasizes meditation and mindfulness rather than prayer. I realized that my own counseling system, rooted in Christian prayer tradition, may not be completely aligned with theirs. And category B, awareness of self and others' outcomes. In my pastoral encounters, I learned to incorporate trauma-informed self-care practice to sustain my well-being and maintain fully presence with the patients. At the same time, I learned to work consciously to identify and addressing implicit basis and recognize the impact of systematic basis that can affect the care experience. Furthermore, I demonstrate intellectual and interfaith humility, listening and adapting my accompaniment to the patient's spiritual beliefs, value, and practice in order to provide respectful, inclusive, and context-centered spiritual care. Category C, relation dynamic outcomes. I learned to demonstrate empathy in spiritual care by listening carefully, reflecting the patient's feeling and responding in ways that respect their emotional and spiritual experience. By demonstrating healthy relationship boundaries in spiritual care by maintaining professional boundaries, fostering trust, and ensuring that focus remain on the patient's need and well-being by demonstrating the ability to identify and describe rules within group dynamics. I facilitate understanding and effective spiritual care in group settings, the ability to facilitate groups processing by creating a safe and inclusive space and guiding conversation to foster spiritual sharing and mutual understand according to the needs of the group. Category spiritual care intervention outcomes. In this CP unit, I also learned to demonstrate flexibility, communication styles, and trauma-informed skills that foster trusting spiritual caring relationship. While responsibly exercise my authority as a chaplain, I also demonstrate the ability to utilize spiritual resources to support both individual spiritual needs and the overall well-being of the organization, offering a space for renewal and connection, strengthening resilience as a team unit. My care interventions are intentionally tailored to address spiritual needs while leveraging the patient's strengths by more accurately and respectful documenting spiritual care experiences. I reflect on the patient's need and care provider. And the category E, professional development outcomes. I demonstrate the ability to use the clinical method collaboratively, interacting with supervisors and deep and peers to reflect, evaluate, and refine my spiritual care practice. By understanding the history and development of clinical pastoral education, I recognize its fundamental principles and their impact on the practice of spiritual care. By understanding the ethical principles and theories relevant to spiritual care, apply them to guide respectfully and compassionate practice. I evaluate and integrate feedbacks from supervisors, peers, and patients to continually improve my spiritual care practice and personal growth. I also evaluate my ability to offer constructive, respectful, and timely feedback to peers and team members to foster collaborating, learning, and growing. By collaborating effectively within the interdisciplinary care team, maintaining clear boundaries as a spiritual care provider. I know I have the ability to access, summarize, and critically evaluate the key points and limitations of research articles relevant to spiritual care. This is my thoughts about my supervisor. My CPE supervisor, Donna, and I meet weekly for individual supervisor IP, and our conversation typically begin with her asking me to share how I've been or how I've been feeling during this week. The conversation often leads me to reflect on events and acknowledge my emotions, which might have been simply ignored. Personally, I feel her sincerity in asking me, not just for the sake of asking, but because she genuinely cares about me, not just as a student, but also as a person. Dana has taught me the importance of recognizing emotional in both my spiritual assessment and self-care, paying attention to what the people I provide spiritual care to say. She she has also given me insights on how to achieve my learning goals. She is considerate when something happens in my work or personal life. Most important, I feel like Dana treats me not just as a student, but as a friend. He left, so I'm not going to read his statement. So I'm going to skip it, and I'm going to send him here. Okay, so the next is Alice. I have completed this first CP unit with Alice, and I have seen her tremendous growth in chaplaincy in this short time. Although it has not been easy for her, she has learned to navigate this growing process with great wisdom. Her calling as a pastor is indisputable, and her distinctive hallmark is her passion for reading and her love for souls. Her spiritually allows her to see a little further than the others. Her love for souls and her fervor for her work are deeply rooted in her heart. She is passionate about what she does and what she believes, and her Christian perspective is always important. The wealth of knowledge she brings to the group is vital for everyone growing. Listen to her comments and always a pleasure, and I continue to learn a lot from her. She is great woman of God, and there is more place to grow in, Alice, for you. What can I say about Liz? She has a gentle spirit and always think carefully about what she's going to say. She has grown considerably in chaplaincy. As a pastoral, she has a great influence on her sheep. Her gifts as a teacher allow her to handle herself with great wisdom. Her call to pastorate is genuine and indisputable. I really enjoy her comments and the sensitivity with which she handled herself. It is a blessing. I have her within the group, and she has been great inspiration to me. Thank you very much for being genuine and for being who you are, transparent and passionate about the word of your Lord. So I'm gonna skip that one. The amazing group. I don't have too much so many words to say, but I actually have too much word to say that I cannot write it down. The appreciation I have for my group, for my teacher, for my peers. I mean, I just say something, but I'm gonna go through my level 2 project. My level 2 project is a complex of grief. Why am I choose this project? It's simple. I choose this project on the complex of grief for several reasons, deeply connected to its pastoral mission and the spiritual commitment it's provide. In a hospital, in a setting where I work, is essential. We live every day, every moment. First, because grief is one of the most common related in its ministry. Chaplains, whether in hospital, hospice, prison, the armed force, or faith community, constantly encounter people and families experience significant loss. A project on this topic allow them to deepen their understanding of this process and improve their capacity for accompaniment. Also because grief affects everyone, patients, families, and staff in hospitals or institutions settings. Not only patients and family face loss, but also the staff who work closely with grief and death. The chaplain can provide comfort, hope, and tools to all of those groups. Also because grief also touch the chaplain themselves, accompanying people in their most painful moments can awake the chaplain's own grief reflection on this topic, offers an opportunity to work on self-care and personal resilience. Also, because it connects with faith with the human experience. Grief is not only an emotional and physical experience, but also a spiritual one. Exploring this topic allows for the integration of faith, prayer, scripture, and rituals as a source of comfort and healing. Also, because it strengthens pastoral and clinical skills. This type of project help develop skills such as activity listening, sensitive crisis, community, cultural adaptation, and the identification of complex grief situations that require professional referral. Time frame, I put approximately 3 griefs, but to grieve there is no time. There is no such kind of time frame for a grief. For some people, can be less, can be years. We don't know the time frame. The idea is to start the process of grief. That's the whole idea. This project will engage in a comprehensive and integrate analysis of relevant theories, drawing from psychology, counseling, family system theories, and grief studies to provide strong interdisciplinary foundation for understanding the complexity of grief. It will also explore spiritual and theological reflection, engaging biblical narratives, pastoral theology in the lives, faith experience of individuals and communities who have navigated profound loss. By examining both traditional and contemporary perspectives, the study will consider how theological insights can illuminate the human experience of grief and offer hope in the midst of suffering. In addition to the theoretical and theological framework, this project will evaluate and apply pastoral care methodologies that address grief in a holistic manner, integrate emotional, relational, and spiritual dimension. Especially attention will be given to practice such as presence, activity, listening, prayer, ritual, and community engagement. Recognizing the transformative potential in ministry, the work will also assess how pastoral caregiver can adapt their approach to diversity, culture, and faith context, and how they can maintain resilience through intentional self-care. Anchor in the learning object of level, sorry, I have to put 3 CP. The goal of this project is to deepen pastoral competence, refine skills in theological reflection, and strengthen the chaplaincy capacity to offer compassionate, cultural, sensitive, and effective ministry in settings where grief is present. Ultimately, this work seeks to integrate theory, theological, and practice into a coherent model of pastoral care that honors the sacredness of the grieving process and offers hope, meaning, and comfort to those who mourn. The discussion progress achieved in my third continuing education unit, I have progressed from the primary study of grief to the deep application of my level 2 project on the complex of grief in real-life pastoral encounters. I have developed my ability to offer presence and active listening without rushing to resolve or minimize the pain of loss. My use of scripture, prayer, and ritual has become more intentional and sensitive to culture and religious contexts. This unit has also strengthened my theological reflection skills, helping me to connect lived experience of grief with deeper spiritual truth that provides hope and resilience. Collaboration with interdisciplinary team has improved, allowing for more holistic grief care. Overall, I have moved from theory to practice, demonstrating great pastoral competence, self-awareness, and resilience in accompanying others through grief.
Thank you tremendously, Alfredo. Really, thank you. I want to read. For me, this really encapsulates a lot of who I have seen you. In your paragraph that you say in this CPE unit, I learned that at its core, the success of spiritual care depends on the caregiver's ability to be empathetic, self-aware, and culturally sensitive, fostering a connection with the care recipient that transcends individual difference in belief. For me, that really, really encapsulates who I've experienced as Alfredo this unit. It is authentically empathetic, self-aware, culturally sensitive, and fostering a connection with the care recipient that transcends difference. And in the work you've done for the class, I really can tell you, you are summarizing who you are, who you've been in this unit. I've experienced you as very empathetic, very self-aware, very culturally competent or aware. So really like how you articulate it. And I think you very strongly, and I'm glad you rated yourself as well, that you very strongly accomplish your goals. I'm not too familiar, and I'm sorry about level 2 projects. That's why but if I understand well, it can be a case study or it can be a research, right? Am I correct?
The framing is you would use research to inform your actual project, not just the research.
Yes.
Okay, so research leads to a case study.
I don't know what you mean by a case study.
So it is both qualitative and quantitative.
It is both qualitative and quantitative, and it is something that you do at your location.
Mhm.
So you wouldn't just describe or just summarize your research. You would say, as a result of this research, I've decided to create a grief class specifically for nurses or whatever, right? And I held that class, and this is what I learned from it that builds on what I got in the research, contradicts it, or affirms it. So it's an actual project, something you do.
Okay. Okay. I now see, Alfredo, what you're doing with grief. And I think it also cohere with you sharing of experience of grief
Yes.
in the hospital setting. Remember verbatim, you had brought it
Yes.
also as a very strong topic in your verbatim. So I can see that correlates very well with your level 2 project, even though I'm incompetent to speak into level 2 project. I'm not yet there, but thank you. Very strongly done. I appreciate you as always. You know that. And thank you also for the comments about me. I really appreciate it. And I'm grateful we are going to be in the next class together.
Me
Starting
too. I'm
September.
so happy.
Lisa,
They
you
took me
change your mind.
away. They took me away, Victor, but God give it to yourself to me. So we're gonna be there. We're gonna have a great time with Donna
Good.
also. We're gonna have Donna again.
Yes. Yeah.
You're just trying to rub it in, aren't you? Alfredo, I just had a question. Who is the target audience? Is your church or your workplace for the grief?
My workplace.
Your workplace. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Well, I like your project. I liked it about grief and I really like the part where you said the grief is spiritual as well. And sometimes you don't even think about it because grief is so bad, you don't think about it being spiritual, but it really is. So thank you for putting that in there. And thank you for what you said about me. I appreciate all your kind words. And your project, I really like that. I didn't even think about doing anything on grief, but that's really something that's very needed in not only in the hospitals setting, but as in the churches as well. So I might think about doing that the next time. So thank you. It was really very well done. And I think you could have graded yourself a little bit higher on some of your areas where you did a 3. I think that you are a very great chaplain. You got a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of wisdom to offer. And I think you've grown a lot over this unit. There been a very fast pace, and we had to do a lot of work, but I think you've grown a lot over this unit. So keep up the good work and keep doing what you do. I don't know, I'm gonna miss you guys, but I know you guys are gonna do great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And let me add this because grief is a deep thing and doesn't have only to deal with the loss of the person, but the loss of the house, the loss of the car, any loss that you suffer, you have to process the grief. Because if you don't process the grief, could be a traumatic thing for you. And you not even know. Because for me to understand the grief process was a healing process for me. Because it's so many things inside of me that I lost, that I don't want to lose again, that I have the trauma in me. And I have to recognize that I did not process. And I have to process because the time don't heal nothing. As you know that as a pastor, we know that the time doesn't heal nothing. We have to process everything. And the grief is deep because I not start this project, but thinking in this when I lost my mother-in-law, because it was a long period and I start understanding how important it is for us as a chaplains, because this project is as a chaplains. It's not for a Christian pastor, but could use anyone. But in the chaplaincy arena, we deal with this. I mean, every day, I can tell you. I mean, the last week, in the last 10 days, we already lose 12 kids in NICU. And one day I have to be with 2 mothers. So understand this so essential for me, for myself first, and therefore the help of others. To understand that we cannot change nothing. That's why I choose my imagine. We cannot change nothing. And help me a lot, but at some point it's gonna help you when you understand the grief process. Because most of the Arab ships and the church, they do not know that they are stuck in the middle of the grief, and that's why they have traumas. And thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Alice, for your comments also. You are a truly blessing to me.
Thank you, Alfredo. I also am appreciative of the feedback, and it is clear how this project informs you and has informed your work. And it's clear both in the content of the presentation of a level of understanding and insight that you have that's drawing not only on your whatever your research resources were, but also your experience, which is
Yes.
powerful. The project component, which is in part what I was wanting to clarify, is then having all this information, you would construct something that you would do.
Exactly.
What it would be, you would do a workshop, and then that would be a complete project. It would be the research plus whatever you did as a result of the information you have. And I think this is as others have said, this is just very helpful information. And the time frame of 3 weeks, I wanted you to clarify that because I appreciated you were pointing out that 3 weeks is.
Yeah, I really do not understand clear the meaning of the word about the time frame, about what time frame, the time frame where the time I take to do the project or the time frame to grieve a person or and there is no time frame to have grief, as you know. But I can do something about then change it and add it. I call that because
Right.
for a grief there is no time.
Right. Well,
Can take I think for persons can take a week, but for persons can take years.
mhm,
The idea is to be in the process, to accept the reality that we are in a process. And somehow, God is going to help us to close the time. We don't know when, we don't know the time. All we know is we are in a process of grief sometimes.
right. I think that's excellent. And the question refers to how much time did you spend doing the project, not the research,
Yeah.
but the actual project. So for example, if you had an
Oh.
all-day conference or if you did a
Yeah.
workshop, that's what that time frame would be. Hey, this
Okay, yeah, it took me
now
kind
it
of,
makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of year and a half because I've been in a conference, I've been reading a books, I'm being had the experience with the patients. So
Right.
I collect all this information
Right,
And
but that's not the time frame of the project. That's the research time.
yes,
So what you're helping me appreciate is it would be helpful to add the question that says, you know, time frame for research and then time frame for implementation of the research.
oh, okay, all right,
That would
okay.
help
I'm gonna add
understand.
that.
This
I'm
is
gonna add that.
so I
Yeah,
thank you for that clarification.
thank you for that.
And I thank you for
Yeah,
the work. I think it is very good work. So when you do your project for your next unit,
yeah,
you want to focus not only on the research, which you have done so well
yeah,
here in summarizing that, but also, okay, now that I know all this, what am I going to do for my patients or do for my spiritual care receivers, or whoever they might be? Might be
okay,
the
yeah.
group, it might be your church or whatever.
Mm,
Again, very good information. And the only thing I would encourage, I appreciate your reflection questions at the end as well. The only thing I would encourage is adding, doesn't have to be a formal list, but a list of your resources.
okay,
Where the resources, so that it gives your colleagues an opportunity to say, hey, I want to read that book, or I want
oh,
to myself read that article or whatever. So
okay.
just identify your resources. But thank you. Excellent. Any other aspects of your final or your project that you want feedback from the group?
You know, any thoughts that you think that is gonna be for my any curiosities that you share with me? I'm gonna appreciate because every project, every work that we made has areas to grow in. So you can see some areas where I can do best. I'm gonna appreciate.
I think it's very good. I think that you should try to implement it within your church for your next when next year when you have to, well, next unit, when you have to do your next project. Have a like a little conference, maybe from 11 to 2 or 10 to 1 or whatever, and talk about grief because everybody's going through grief, you know, and you have a lot of good resources, a lot of good information, and you're a chaplain and you can definitely help people out with that. So, um, you got a lot, like I said, like Reverend said, you have a lot of great work in there. So maybe just turn it into a project for your church, for the people who are grieving,
Yeah,
different losses, family having to be deported, different things that people got a lot of grief going on. So, but very, very good, Alfredo. Very good job.
thank you. Yeah, I just want to share something with you because I have my dad in the hospital and I am in the process of the pre-grief because I am the only one who has access to the doctors and to the nurses and to the truth. And I just try to help my family to understand where we at right now and the journey we started. And I have to, and that process of the grief helped me a lot to help my sisters, my brothers to start, It's like I told them, okay, let's get into my boat because we're gonna go into the different moments, emotional moments in our lives. See, so I'm learning because the invitation I give it to them, I feel like I invite them to get into my boat and navigate with me because I give it to them the introduction, you know, they give it to them the idea that this could be the end for him, but in a way that they cannot be hurt but they could understand the process of life. And I can say the same thing, stay calm. This is part of the process of the life. And I feel deeply, deeply going through that emotional arena that I didn't like it. I can tell you the truth. But I have to. And CPEs help me a lot in this process to understand, to implement, to demonstrate, to have the knowledge. All those crucial moments. So I was going to share that because nobody know what I don't know what happened in your life, Lisa. I know it's hard. I don't know you, Alison, you, Donna. Every one of us has our own struggles, and we are doing the work of God. And we have questions as everybody, and we don't have answers. And we have to be calm, and realize that we don't have all the answers, and we don't have to. And have peace with this, have peace with that. I don't have the answer. Don't feel bad. Have peace in that moment. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. So I'm going to ask, as your research reminded us how important it is for the spiritual caregiver to make sure that they have support. How are you also attending to yourself and your own grief?
Yeah.
Are you being intentional? And
Yes, I'm doing this intentionally. I share this with you because I need support. And the only way I can get support is let you know what's inside of me. Okay. And that way I can get the support I needed. And your quietness giving support. There's a point,
that's excellent.
that your understanding gives me support.
Excellent.
You don't have to say nothing to me.
I appreciate that. So you're doing it right now. So your answer to the question, I'm getting support by sharing. And so one of my irritating, to a degree, questions, which I ask a lot, is how can I support you further?
How can you support me forward? These
Mhm.
are really good questions. I never thought about it, but I can say something. Use, be with me. Okay. The quiet is the first thing. The response is the second thing. Let the people know that you are there. Okay. I know that you are there because you listen to me. Thank you. The next step is how can I help you sometimes, If I need more help, thank you. I'm gonna call on you and I'm gonna let you know. And I'll go more forward when I need something. I know that I can call you, this is my situation. Please pray for me. Because it's an emotional thing. See, I don't know if complicated to help an emotional moment with physical things, if I say right. I don't think those doesn't work in that way. More because you are far from me. You are close to me, give me a hug, Let's drink a coffee, let's go for a walk. That's what I'm doing. spend time with them, and go move forward. And the same way for myself, when I invite as my sister, let's go for it. Okay, I'm receiving the comfort. Not only I give it to them the comfort, I receiving also the comfort. And that's the way with my wife, with my kids, it's the same. They know what I'm going through, and they give it to me my space. As my wife told me, when you want to speak with me, just let me know. She do not pushing me. She don't ask me so many questions. She's quiet, serving me, loving me. That's all I need right now. And I got the support. But I have to tell them how can they support me. I have to let them know, because I cannot assume. You know what am I? You know that I'm frustrated. No, they don't. I have to tell them the way I receive comfort in that moment. And thanks God, they know it. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely.
Alfredo, I want to ask it
Yes.
as a pastor, I will pray for you and your family from a pastoral perspective. I will pray for you and your family.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Because you say we can pray for you. I will.
Yes.
So we have just a couple more minutes, and we can transition, and we'll do our self-care practice, which is great. And I want to acknowledge, Alfredo, that you asked us to pray for you.
Yes.
So I want to clarify, do you want us to pray with you right now?
I want you to pray for me right now.
Okay. All right. Then that can be a wonderful transition before we go to our spiritual care break. I would invite someone to volunteer to lead us in prayer as we pray with Alfredo right now.
I can do that, but is my thing clear?
Yes, we hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Dear Lord, you are the one who told us, believe in God and believe in you, because the peace you give us is the peace that the world cannot give. And then you said to us, let your heart not be troubled. Father, at this moment, we just want to lift up Alfredo and his family. He is your son, he is your servant, the one you called, the one you love, the one you commissioned, the one you're using in transformative ways to be that presence for others that reminds them of you. Father, we lift him and his family to you because we do know that you are with them as you promised that you will be. Even in moments of sorrow, even in moments of pain, even in moments where they need you the most, Father, we lift them up to you. Because to them you are everything, their father, their mother, their sister, and everything. So I pray that you will meet Alfredo and his family where they need you the most. You created them, so you know where they need you the most. And so, Father, meet them in their need and provide need, whether it's a need of just silence, a need of peace, a need of anything they need. And thank you for this wonderful group. We just bless you for who you are. And we bless you for your continuous care, the best caregiver that we can ever have. Thank you, dear Father, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and our mother too. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. Let's take 30 minutes to do our spiritual care practice session. I'll see you in 30 minutes. Thank you, Alfredo.
Thank you. Thank you.